Demographic challenges to growth. For China and the U.S., the biggest determinant of economic growth over the next decade is likely to be demographics, not the trade war, not tax policy, not the Federal Reserve, nor the People's Bank of China. The demographic patterns are just so different than they once were, and potential economic growth will be seriously impacted. Economists know all of this, but in their urgency to forecast next month's job data, or the Treasury bond yield, or the stock market, they forget all about demographics. It's not that hard to appreciate, but please, don't forget about it. Here's the challenge. The working age population growth was 30% cumulatively from 1990 to 2018 for both the U.S. and China. From 2018 to 2030, the working age population may grow only about 3% in the U.S., and it may shrink a little in China. Now, why does this matter so much? Well, real GDP growth is the sum of labor force growth plus labor productivity growth. The latter is not that volatile, and it's very hard to increase labor productivity with fiscal or monetary policies. So the huge change in the demographic pattern going from strong growth in the working age population to no growth, that's the big story that's constraining the potential real GDP growth for both countries. And then there are complications, and that's the aging of the populations. In 1990, 5.5% of China's population was over 65. Today it's 11%, and by 2030 it will be 17%. The U.S. is even a little older. In 1990, 12% of the population was retirement age. Today it's 16%, and by 2030 it'll be 21%. As the retiree age segment increases its share of the total population, it puts an increasing burden on the working segment in both China and the U.S. The bottom line is that for the U.S. it's going to be hard to get more than 2.5% growth per year on average over the next 2 years. And for China, well, the days of 6% or 7% GDP will end in the 2020s as the country matures into a slower growth pattern, more like 3 to 4% real GDP per year at best. Of course, these are averages. There'll be great years, and maybe there'll be a recession year. But the demographic pattern is the constraint on growth, not the policy choices. I'm Blue Putnam, Chief Economist, CME Group.